What's up, YouTube? I hope you're having a great day. Today, I do have some sad news to share about Xbox, so let's get into it. So, there's a lot of changes going on Xbox. Obviously, a few days ago, Asher Sharma, the CEO of Xbox, released a whole Xbox Wire statement in which she's talking about the next 100 days for Xbox is about resetting the business. So there's some hints in there that there's going to be some big changes, probably some layoffs and stuff going on like that. But let's get into it. So, right on that topic of layoffs, it is being discussed right now that Compulsion Games, the developers of South of Midnight and We Are a Happy Few, which was a great game from a few years ago, that studio might be shutting down right now as we speak. So I heard that leadership, the head of the studio left, and it looks like they're being shut down. Along with that, there's some other sadder news, and that is that Arcane might be on the list to get shut down. Arcane is very important because they developed Dishonor. Remember Dishonor? That was a great game from the last generation, right? Actually, it came out on the 360, I think. And then there was a Xbox One version of it, and then Dishonor 2 came out, and that also had an Xbox One version and a PS4 version. Great game, by the way. So that studio is currently working on Blade, Marvel's comic Blade, the Vampire Hunter, and they might be shutting down, which is, I hope that's not the case because I've been looking forward for Xbox to develop their own Marvel game. Obviously, Sony has developed Spider-Man. They're currently finishing up on Wolverine. And I think they do a Venom game after that. So Marvel, Sony has a good relationship with Marvel, and they get to work on some of their IPs. And I was hoping that Xbox was going to get the same chance of doing something great with Blade. And it looks like Arcane Studio, who's working on Blade, they may not be making it through. Now, some of the reasons that have been shared online is that making a video game based on a movie license is very expensive. And something that happened recently or a year or two ago is that, remember, they announced 4 or 5 years ago there was going to be a new Blade movie coming out by the new Marvel universe, part of the new Marvel universe. And that Blade movie so far has been postponed or actually was canceled. And now it left Xbox Studios and left Arcane sort of like, okay, well, we're gonna make a game and the movie's not coming out. What are it just put him in a hard spot. It's unlike, I know people might want to say like, hey, well, IO Interactive just did it with First Light, 007 First Light. They were able to develop a game that's not associated to a movie. But the whole thing is that the license for the movie is very expensive, and doing a video game based on a movie is very expensive. And if they would have released right after a movie, there's hype, right? So if there's a Blade movie that comes out, there's going to be a lot of hype if they release a video game shortly right after that, and that's his own marketing right there. So without the movie, that game is not receiving a lot of marketing now. I'm old school, and my first Marvel movie that I ever watched was Blade in 1998. Amazing movie. Wesley Snipes stars as Blade. It was just an incredible movie that really, it was the first movie in the Marvel universe. It was Blade from 1998. So I didn't have a problem with it with a new Blade game because I was going to buy it regardless just because I'm a fan of Blade. And it is. They might be getting shut down. Arcane Studio. They also work besides. They work on Prey. So the remake or reboot of Prey, which is not based on the original Prey game from 2007, I think, when Prey came out for the Xbox 360, 2006. Using the ID software engine at that time. So Prey that came out, I remember the year, but it was for last generation, for the Xbox One generation. And this was the video game where you wake up and then you slowly realize that you're on a base on the moon. I never finished it, but had an incredible premise. and it had a lot of potential. So maybe I go back to it someday. We'll see. But Arcane developed that game. I think that was the last game. I think it was Prey, and then they did an expansion, Prey Moon Crash. I think it's called. But yeah, it is a sad day right now. But Asha Sharma did give some hints in her statement, in the Xbox Wire article that came out a few days ago, and she talks about they needed to invest more in their bigger IPs. And I said this in my last video. I was talking that they own a lot of great IPs that they need to focus on. One of the things is StarCraft. StarCraft is a huge PC game, and there's been StarCraft 1, 1998. I think StarCraft 2 came out in 2010. And there hasn't been another StarCraft game ever since. And that's something they should invest on, because StarCraft is huge. StarCraft is still one of the best like online multiplayer games out there for PC. And that's something that they could work on. You know, I don't know if they're working on StarCraft 3, but they should have, because that's a great IP. That's a great franchise, and they should invest in that. Obviously, you know, they kept Doom around, so I'm glad that we do still have Doom. Like, you know, we had several versions of Doom, or prequels or sequels of Doom over the last, you know, since 2016. So over the last 10 years, we had 3 Doom games. So that's pretty good. But there's other IPs out there that are owned by Activision, and then by not just Activision, but Bethesda. And they're just, I don't know, like who's making all these decisions. As a gamer, I would suggest, like, one of the things, once Xbox acquired Activision, my suggestion at the time was that they should have taken at that time all of the Call of Duty games, all of them, and put them on Game Pass, and make Game Pass like the Call of Duty subscription service. That's what I say. You know why? Because a lot of people like going back to play the old games, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4, Modern Warfare, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3. I mean, and then the reboots of Modern Warfare. So they could have put all these games on Game Pass, and I don't know why they didn't. And they were supposed to, because when the lawsuit, when they had the whole, when they were acquiring Activision, there was I think PlayStation and the FTC had a lawsuit where they were trying to prevent Xbox from acquiring Activision. And in some of the statements that they gave for that trial was that Game Pass, that gamers were going to be better off because they were going to put Activision games on Game Pass. And that, guess what? That hasn't really happened. Tell me how many Activision games are on Game Pass. Tell me how many. I mean, I think it started maybe Modern Warfare 3. I think is on there. The new one, the one from like 3 years ago. And then they put on their Black Ops 6 and now Black Ops 7. But none of the back catalog of Call of Duties, including Call of Duty 2, which was it was a launch title for the 360, for the Xbox 360, that's not on Game Pass. And that, I think that's a huge miss, because I would love to go back and play that game. A lot of people, when we played that game in 2006, there was no digital downloads for AAA games at that time. So we all had a disc version of it. And I sold my disc at some point. You know, I played it so many times, and it was a great game. But it would be nice if Call of Duty 2 was backwards compatible and available on Game Pass, right? Like, so I don't know who made all these decisions. I don't want to be naming names, but we know the previous leadership at Xbox, and I feel like there was a lot of misses. They had so much opportunity when they acquired Activision Blizzard and Bethesda, that they could have really, really pushed things through. And probably, you know what, Xbox doesn't have to be PlayStation, doesn't have to be number one, but we could have been very competitive if we would have brought a lot of these games to Game Pass and make some of those franchises exclusive to Xbox. Things like Fallout, right? Fallout 5. When is the next Fallout game coming out? That should be exclusive to Xbox. Elder Scroll, that should be exclusive to Xbox. there's a lot of games. The Perfect Dark reboot that got canceled last year. That's a big loss right there because that game I was waiting for. I pre-ordered the original Perfect Dark in 2000, I think. Yeah, the year 2000 for the N64, and that's something that was just a lost opportunity right there. And I understand that people get put under pressure and they ended up making these decisions and mistakes because they're under pressure from the corporate parent company. I understand that, but I don't know what's been happening with Xbox during the last 2-3 years. Like it's just been going in a direction that it almost killed the brand. I think this was what has happened to Xbox in the last 2 years, maybe 3 years, is worse than the red ring of death that happened during the Xbox 360 era. Absolutely. During the Xbox 360 era, Microsoft spent, I believe it was almost close to $1.5 billion to repair all of those Xbox 360s that were having the red ring. And they did that to save the brand, which was a really great choice. And they did save the brand because Xbox 360 was a standard of gaming. It was a golden standard of gaming for that generation. It beat the PS3 just about on everything. But going back to today's topic of these studios closing down and the next 100 days reset for Xbox, there's some hard choices they're going to be making. Now, the one thing, there's some good news coming out of all of this week, and that is that there's some reports that the next Halo game, the next sequel is going to be an Xbox exclusive, just like it should. So I hope that's true. I hope that turns out to be the case. And hopefully other games might come to be exclusive to Xbox, and they should be. So there's a very likely chance that they might play it this way. And what I mean by that is that they're giving PS5 gamers a taste of what Xbox can deliver with it. A Halo campaign involved. A lot of people are going to love that game. Then you have Forza Horizon 6 coming out on PS5 later this year. And all these games are just, are giving PS5 a taste of what Xbox can deliver. So what that means is there's a possibility that in the near future, if Xbox makes more games exclusive to Xbox, that some PS gamers, especially PlayStation gamers that were part of the Xbox 360 era, that went to the PlayStation 4 during the PS4 era, that they might now either come back to Xbox or buy an Xbox as a secondary console just to be able to play Xbox exclusive. If Xbox has enough exclusives, that might be the case. That just might happen. I am a multi-platform owner, so I like having exclusive on all the platforms so that it gives me a reason to buy that platform. I have a Nintendo Switch too, so I can play Metroid, Mario, and all of the Nintendo exclusives, which is only maybe 4 that I play myself that I care about. But I have a Nintendo Switch too, just for those four franchises: Mario, Metroid, Donkey Kong, and what is the other one? I'm forgetting one. This is the 4th Mario or Nintendo franchise. Zelda. So I love playing Zelda, and that's the main reason why I have a Nintendo Switch 2. Only reason. I have a PlayStation because I want to play PlayStation exclusives, and that's why I have always owned a PlayStation during the last few generations. At the same time, I've been an Xbox gamer because I wanted to play PlayStation exclusives on it. But Xbox was always my preferred console. Right now, it's not my primary console. The PS5 Pro is my primary console because that's where I'm doing the majority of my gaming on right now, and that's because it's the most powerful console. And if a game is PS5 Pro enhanced, I'm gonna buy it on that platform because I want the better resolution, the better performance, better frames per second, all the stuff that comes with having a console that's a little bit more powerful than the Xbox Series X. Now, the Xbox Series X is a really good console and has 12 teraflops T-flops of power, of raw compute unit, raw compute power, and it delivers. And in most cases, it is more powerful than the regular PS5. But the PS5 Pro is a 16.7 teraflops, and it has machine learning and all that other stuff that gives it an advantage. And like you can see that with games like Resident Evil 9, Requiem, Assassin's Creed Shadows, for example. That game had global illumination, ray trace global illumination in that game. So on the PS5 Pro, it looked much different than on the PS5 or the Xbox. So anyways, that's all I wanted to share today is, we have some things are changing on Xbox, and just keep an eye out. Good word of advice: don't go on Twitter or X and believe all the ponies on there. All the ponies are out there. Some ponies, not all of them, but some of them are actually celebrating this stuff. Like they want the downfall of Xbox, and they don't understand that if Xbox is not a competition to PlayStation anymore, PlayStation is not going to innovate, and they're going to charge a lot more for a console if they don't have the competition. So if PlayStation gamers want to continue to own a console at an affordable price, they need to be thankful for having Xbox around. All right, so with all that being said, please click like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.